it's hard to take away one thing from it, I guess. I think there's part of every guy who has ever watched movies and then stepped in front of a camera who wants to be an action movie star. And if you believe this week's Quibi series, Kevin Hart is no different. This week we're going to be talking about Die Hart on the Everyman Movie Review. Hey everybody, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Review. This week we're going to be talking about Die Hart, yet another Quibi series. I thought I was done with Quibi, but not quite yet. We'll get into that a little bit later. Obviously, I'm going through the Quibi series. Quibi means quick bites, and these reviews are going to be quick bites, just like those series. I'm going to talk a little bit about the show itself. I'm going to give a little bit of the background of the show, and I'm going to give my review of the show at the end and let you know whether or not it's worth your time and whether or not Quibi is worth your money to get the platform. So I really thought that my review is going to be wrapped on Quibi, but I don't know if you guys heard, but it turns out I'm running for president, so I got a lot of stuff going on, and watching movies hasn't really been a top priority. I know it should be. I got a lot of things coming up right now. 7,500 literally on my screen watching right now. Tomorrow night, queued up, An American Pickle. I cannot wait to see it. And I found out about this fantastic service called Just Watch, where it'll let you make a list of all the things on all the streaming networks that you want to watch and make one queue. So that has really been super helpful, and I'm looking forward to finally moving through some of those movies I want to see. But I have been doing a lot of campaign stuff over the last few weeks, and therefore I haven't had time to watch any movies. I was coming to the end of my queue of stuff that was already done, and I said, wow, what am I going to do for a review? And then I started getting notifications from Quibi. Hey, we got new stuff out. Hey, do you want to watch this? Again, one of the great things about having the platform be mobile-based is that those push notifications come to you, and once they start to learn what you like, they're actually starting to suggest some really great things. So with that in mind, I figured I would go through just a couple of the rest of the series that I watched and give you a review about them, starting right here with Die Hart. But before we get too far along, let's get through the pleasantries, shall we? Die Hart was directed by Eric Appel. It was created by Tripper Clancy and Derek Kolstad. It is starring, of course, the titular Kevin Hart, although Kevin Hart in this example is playing a fictional version of himself based on himself. I'll get into that in a bit. John Travolta as Ron Wilcox. Nathalie Emmanuel as Jordan King. Jean Reno making yet another appearance in these reviews. I love Jean Reno. I'm so glad he's coming around so often. As the French director Claude Van de Velde. Josh Hartnett as, again, a fictionalized version of himself, kind of based on himself. Kenneth Trujillo as Diego. Brandon Quinn as Danny Morrison. Milana Weintraub makes an appearance as Leah, and Jason Jones is alongside her as Mikey. So as I said kind of in the opening, Die Hart is basically what every little boy and every little man thinks is really true about the world. And that's, hey, no matter what I'm good at, I want to be good at something else. You know, the grass is always greener on the other side. So Kevin Hart in Die Hart, a fictional version of the real Kevin Hart, he always plays the sidekick, the funny guy next to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or John Cena or someone. And he's never really the hero. He's never the action guy. He's always the comedic side. So while on a morning show with Mikey and Leah, played by Milana Weintraub and Jason Jones, he basically has a breakdown where they ask him to do this funny dance that he's known for doing from a movie that he's there promoting. And he just loses it and says, you know what, I could be the action star. I'm gonna be the action star. And then he starts doing karate moves on the TV. So Danny, his agent, hits him up and says, hey, basically, your career's over, so we need to go cool down for a little bit. And Kevin kind of has to come to terms with the fact that this is the end for him. Except, just a few days later, his agent is hit up by Claude Van de Velde, a really well-known action movie director who's directed 3 of the top 10 action movies ever. I know this is supposed to be based on someone, but I'm not really sure who. The accent would make me think it's someone foreign, someone like Werner Herzog, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's just supposed to be a generic, hoity-toity Hollywood type director. And Jean Reno plays him super well as a kind of annoying French artiste, but who's willing to give Kevin Hart a chance as an action star. In order to get that chance, he has to go to Ron Wilcox's camp. This camp is basically a sleepaway camp to make anybody into an action star. John Travolta, of course, as Ron Wilcox, sporting the bald head like we've seen with him basically all the time now. I'm pretty sure he's just bald, but nonetheless, it looks every bit of an action movie star, like an aging stuntman or an aging action movie star. And he is going to whip Kevin into shape. Along the way, Nathalie Emmanuel shows up as yet another star, a woman who is trying to break in to a woman's action role. And there's a little exchange right when she arrives where she's like, there's like 3 action roles for women in Hollywood. And Kevin's like, no. There's like Black Widow and the other Marvel one, and wow, yeah, there's really like only 3. And it's not supposed to be that, but it really does kind of like make you think, wow, there really are not a lot of action roles for women in Hollywood. But she's come along because she got an opportunity for a role, and now she needs to get into shape for this action role, or else she's not going to have her chance. But as we go along, we find out that maybe everything isn't exactly what it seems. And I will tell you that without giving away any spoilers, no spoilers for these short episodes, this show kept taking me by surprise. It seems like every time I had it figured out, nope, that's not what's going on. Nope, that's not what's going on. Oh, maybe, nope, and it just has you jumping back and forth. And with Quibi's short episode style, it's kind of easy to do that because every episode ends on a cliffhanger. And I think there were like 9 or 10 episodes. They're each 9 to 10 minutes. And every time you think you have a good grasp on something, action point, something happens, and your idea changes into the next episode. Now, I will say that a lot of this felt a bit forced. I don't think that it was as funny as it could be. I don't think that the story was as fleshed out as it could be. There is a part of me that thinks maybe it kept me guessing because the writing just had some gaps in it, and maybe I was following there were no clues for me to figure out. I was following exactly what they were showing me, and hey, this just seemed to jump. Or maybe, I was at work when I was watching, getting ready for work, on my way back from work, and maybe you really just had to pay attention to get it and I missed something. I just felt like when I see Kevin Hart, I expect it to be uber funny. And I think the whole point was obviously that he's trying to do something not funny, but inside of that, he was doing something funny. And I love Nathalie Emmanuel. I think she was amazing in Game of Thrones, and I'm excited to see her in more stuff. I think that this role showed her range. She can do a lot of stuff, and we really should see more of her. And again, it had all of the right parts. It had John Travolta, Jean Reno, it had Nathalie Emmanuel, it had Kevin Hart, and yet something tells me it's like this would have been maybe a better movie. Maybe if it was all strung together in a movie and they didn't have to follow that like Quibi model of every 9 minutes something happens, it would have been a little better. I don't know. I just felt like empty a little bit when it ended, and yet at the same time fulfilled, because they kept me guessing the whole time, and the story followed to a logical conclusion, I suppose. But I don't know. It's a weird show, and it's hard to take away one thing from it, I guess. Now, kind of the points I've been making through all of these Quibi reviews. Is this the show that brings you to the platform? Well, if you like Kevin Hart, like you love Kevin Hart, and you want to see everything that he does, maybe this brings you to the platform. But I don't think this is the show that makes you dole out money if you haven't already. It's got the star power, it's got maybe the story that you're looking for, and all of those things, but it's not all there. It's missing something, and I can't even put my finger on what it is. But if you already have Quibi and you are enjoying some stuff, I do think it is a good hour and a half of entertainment, just like a movie, and again, in digestible clips where you can watch a little bit now and a little bit later and you don't feel like you've missed anything. But once again, I have to say, like I have so many times in these reviews, I'm wondering who the audience is for this. I enjoyed this show, but I don't know that, maybe Kevin Hart has a younger audience and that's what they're going for, but like Travolta, Nathalie Emmanuel, maybe, yeah, Josh Hartnett, I guarantee you if I went amongst my employees who are all 20 to 25, almost none of them would know who Josh Hartnett is. I don't think he's been in a major movie since like Hollywood Homicide, which wasn't that major and was kind of long ago. So once again, I just feel like, there had to be a bigger budget, right? With all these people and there's a lot of special effects and there's a lot of stuff going on. You would think that it was a bigger budget. And again, what's the audience, Quibi? You got me. I enjoyed it, but I'm a special one. I'm a 36-year-old with a TikTok who also enjoys movies. Like, There's not only so many of me to go around. But I guess in summation, I don't regret the time I spent doing it. But listen, over the last few weeks, I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of things. I have been building the campaign website. If you're interested in checking that out, robcheekforpresident.com. You can find Rob Cheek for Prez on all your social networks. I've been working on my own social media presence. It's Robert N. Cheek at all your social media networks. I've been working on my own website, robertncheek.com. I've been working on the Everyman Movie review social media presence. You can find those links down below. And of course, I've been keeping up with the Oh the Anthem podcast that I do every single week with my buddy Corey at ohtheanthem.com and Oh the Anthem on social media, YouTube, Anchor, everywhere for that podcast. And even with as busy as I've been, I'm still going to say I didn't regret spending my time watching this. Because again, Quibi allows you to kind of like enjoy it as you want to and kind of maybe while you're doing other things. That's the benefit of the platform. Being mobile-based has a lot of flaws, but I think that this is one of the advantages. So it's kind of hard to put a recommendation or not. I think what it comes down to is if you already have the platform, check it out. If you love Kevin Hart, check it out. If you love Nathalie Emmanuel, this is going to be something way different than what she was in Game of Thrones, and I think you'll really enjoy it. For the older crowd, if you really love John Travolta, sure, he's there too. But unless you fall into those categories, if you don't have Quibi already especially, I don't think that this is going to be the thing to get you to the platform, and I don't recommend getting it just for this show. But I do recommend you coming back in just a few days for the next episode of the Everyman Movie Review. We have one last Quibi series, and then maybe a bonus episode about Quibi, and then we're going to move on to what? I'm not really sure. Maybe we're going to do some movies. I've also been diving into the platform Peacock, which is free, and that means it's a big advantage. But they have some really unique original content on there as well. I just started Brave New World, and I have to say, I am very impressed with that show after episode 1. So maybe some Peacock shows will come in. But of course, as I said, 7500, An American Pickle, Palm Springs, these are all coming up in the On Deck circle. So keep an eye out. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and hit the notification button so you know when a new episode's out. 2 episodes a week, every Thursday, and 1 day in between. Thank you guys for checking out this episode, and I am looking forward to bringing you the next one. I'm realizing as I'm recording this that I forgot to post the episode on Sunday. So this Thursday's episode is going to be a double feature, Sunday's episode and today's episode, both available. So make sure you go check out Sunday's episode if you haven't checked it out already. Thank you for hanging out with me for a few minutes. Look forward to the next episode in just a couple days. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great week, everybody.